Let's start with a really uncomfortable question. If AI controls your entire reality, how would you ever actually know the truth? I mean, just imagine a future, or honestly, just look around you right now. We're heading toward a world where literally every image, sound, memory, and experience could be generated by artificial intelligence in real time. Sure, this could create these perfect, hyper personalized worlds for us, but it could also completely erase the truth. We could literally become trapped inside AI generated illusions without even realizing it. So, seriously, if AI controls reality, how do we know what's real?
Well, welcome to this explainer, Escaping Algorithmic Hyperreality. Today, we're going to take a pretty mind-bending journey into the collapsing boundaries between human truth and AI illusion. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. The biggest risk in today's information ecosystem isn't just people spreading false information. It's that we're losing our faith in what is true altogether. We are currently drowning in a massive flood of what researchers are calling AI slop. Basically, this is an endless stream of low-quality AI-generated content that is actively reshaping our society. And as the sheer volume and speed of this synthetic media completely override human care and understanding, we start seeing the erosion of epistemic stability. In plain English, our shared baseline for reality is crumbling. People are fundamentally struggling to know what on earth to believe anymore.
And there's a deeply ironic twist to all this. Even the AI itself loses its grip on reality when it gets trapped in this ecosystem. It's a phenomenon called model collapse. Basically, when AI models start indiscriminately training on data that was already generated by AI, their output gets increasingly distorted. Think of it like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, right? With every single pass, the fidelity degrades, and these compounded errors get permanently baked right into the system. The AI is quite literally poisoning its own well.
Now, what's really interesting here is that AI doesn't just make simple, oops, I forgot mistakes. It mathematically hallucinates structural fictions. Look at how these factual errors are categorized. An AI might confidently invent a completely non-existent species just to explain why the Eiffel Tower was built. It churns out these incredibly plausible-sounding, yet completely fabricated outputs. And we humans, we easily mistake them for facts, mostly because the AI delivers them with such absolute, unwavering authority.
To understand why this keeps happening, we absolutely have to separate two crucial concepts: accuracy versus truth. See, an AI operates purely on statistical token prediction. It's just guessing the most mathematically probable next word. So it can be 100% statistically accurate in its predictive architecture, generating a perfectly fluent, grammatically flawless sentence, while remaining completely devoid of actual truth. Accuracy is just a math equation. Truth? Truth requires meaning, context, and a real relationship to the actual physical world.
Which brings us to another massive misconception. We constantly confuse intelligence with agency. Intelligence is simply the capacity to solve problems. Agency, on the other hand, is the ability to choose which problems to solve. AI is basically a flawless mirror. It has incredible intelligence, sure, but absolutely zero intrinsic motivation, zero agency. A calculator doesn't want to do math, right? Well, AI doesn't want to do anything. The real existential threat here isn't some sci-fi scenario of autonomous machines turning against us. No, it's human intent, wielding AI as a massive reality-distorting amplifier. And that human intent? It's already fracturing our world. Author David Truss points out a seriously ominous reality. We are fast converging on a point where it's actually easier to claim that real images are fake than it is to prove that fake images are generated by AI. We are literally losing the media literacy required to tell the difference. And because of this, people can just retreat into their own hyper-personalized echo chambers, basically choosing their own reality dysfunction. I mean, have you ever found yourself second-guessing a perfectly real photo on your timeline? Yeah, that's the fracture happening in real time. We can actually break down this epistemic collapse mathematically using something called the authenticity ratio. Think about it. Before generative AI, almost every photo or video represented an event that actually happened in the physical world. The ratio of authentic media to total media was effectively 1-to-1. But after AI, synthetic media is growing exponentially with absolutely zero constraints. So as that denominator just explodes with infinite artificial content, the ratio of authentic truth we consume mathematically plummets straight towards zero. This isn't just some philosophical guess, folks. It is mathematical inevitability. This brings us perfectly to a concept the sociologist Jean Baudrillard introduced decades ago, which has wildly become our daily life. It's called hyperreality. This is a condition where the simulation doesn't just copy reality anymore, it actively replaces it. The simulated world starts to feel more compelling, more orderly, and frankly, more emotionally satisfying than our actual lived experiences. We start slipping into the space where algorithms and codes become our foundation for meaning. It's kind of like living permanently inside an Instagram filter, completely detached from the physical world.
And the immediate consequences of this algorithmic hyperreality? They're everywhere. Just look around. We are constantly surrounded by synthetic influencers boasting millions of fans, deepfake political manipulation that could literally trigger military responses to events that never even happened, and digital doppelgangers. With tools out there like OpenAI's Sora 2, incredibly realistic video can be conjured out of thin air in seconds. We are actively being trapped in these personalized illusions, where algorithms are dictating our choices totally beneath the threshold of our awareness.
But let's go ahead and follow this logic all the way down the rabbit hole, shall we? If we are currently building AI that can simulate realities perfectly for us, what exactly stops a vastly more advanced future civilization from having already done the exact same thing to us? What if the reality we are trying so desperately to cling to is itself just a simulation?
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at a heavy concept from the philosophy of mind called substrate independence. Basically, this is the theory that consciousness is, at its core, a complex algorithm. It doesn't strictly require a squishy, biological carbon brain to exist. A conscious experience could, theoretically, be perfectly sustained within a massive computational matrix. So if computation becomes limitless, simulating a conscious mind just becomes a matter of raw processing power. Which leads us directly to the philosopher Nick Bostrom's famous simulation argument trilemma. He lays out three distinct possibilities and argues that at least one of them absolutely must be true. Okay, step one, all civilizations go extinct before reaching a technologically mature post-human stage. Step two, post-human civilizations survive, but they just have absolutely zero interest in running simulations of their ancestors. Or, step three, we are almost certainly already living inside a computer simulation right now.
And here's the kicker. If we are in a simulation, we would have absolutely no way to know. The indifference principle states that if a simulation is good enough, we literally possess no tools to tell the difference between a simulated mind and a biological one. I mean, the computer wouldn't even need to render the whole Earth at once. Just like a modern video game only renders the room your character is currently standing in, a simulation would only render the microscopic world the exact moment you look through a microscope. It would just seamlessly fill in the details so we never notice a glitch.
Wow, okay, it's a pretty dizzying cosmological thought experiment, right? But let's bring ourselves back up to the surface for a minute, because the immediate crisis we're facing doesn't actually require us to be living in the Matrix. As researcher James Oliver starkly puts it, the danger is not machines thinking, it is humans no longer knowing what is real. That is absolutely crucial. The battleground right now isn't some war against super-intelligent robotic overlords. It's a very real fight for our shared reality, right here on Earth. You see, when we just blindly outsource our thinking to AI, we create what governance frameworks call the meaning gap. This is the massive divergence between an AI's highly complex, statistically generated output and our human ability to actually mentally process and internalize it. In fact, a recent neurocognitive study out of MIT scanned the brains of people using language models for writing, and they found lower brain connectivity and reduced critical engagement. We are literally trading deep analytical thought for quick surface-level verification. We are socially de-skilling ourselves.
So the crucial point here is this. Our ultimate defense mechanism against all of this isn't going to be better technology. It's what researchers call cognitive sovereignty. This is our inherently human capacity to deliberately interpret, contextualize, and assume absolute responsibility for the decisions we make. It's the stubborn refusal to just let the machine do the heavy cognitive lifting. We have to actively, deliberately reclaim our cognitive agency, instead of letting our minds atrophy by outsourcing our judgment to a predictive text algorithm.
Now you might be wondering, how on earth do we apply this cognitive sovereignty at a massive societal scale to fight back against this flood of AI illusions? Well, centralized authority simply isn't going to cut it. Top-down regulation and single points of truth are mathematically doomed. They just can't process an infinite exponential stream of synthetic content. The only viable solution we have is decentralized verification. We need a massively interconnected, distributed network of human nodes providing real context and intense scrutiny.
Let's move along and see how this builds in the real world. Because the good news is, humanity has already invented the cure for this epistemic collapse. Just look at Wikipedia's collective expertise, X's community notes, Reddit's collaborative moderation, or hey, the ultimate decentralized verification system, the scientific method. These systems actually work.
Why? Because millions of human nodes, each bringing their own contextual expertise to the table, are working collaboratively to filter out the noise and find the truth.
Ultimately, networks solve network problems. AI is just a neutral amplifier. It multiplies whatever intent we feed into it. The existential risk isn't the AI itself, folks. It's us. It's humans using AI to distort our shared reality. The solution to AI-generated illusion was never going to be another algorithm, and it sure wasn't going to be centralized control. It has always been humanity's collective, collaborative intelligence. At the end of the day, we are the only true anchor to actual reality. Which leaves us with one final, deeply personal question to think about. The next time you're scrolling through your feed, reading a quick news summary, or chatting with a digital assistant, ask yourself, are you actively shaping your reality, or have you already outsourced your cognitive sovereignty, and is an algorithm quietly shaping you?